This week marks 5 years since Archbishop Mitchell Rozanski took over the St. Louis Archdiocese.
A standout of his tenure so far is the controversial restructuring plan of parishes. Tonight, only on 5 on Your Side, Ann Allred sits down with the Archbishop to discuss the status of all things new, specifically what's next for parish schools.
In his 5 years at the helm, Archbishop Mitchell Rozanski often made headlines for all things new. And he says the restructuring plan is far from finished.
Will there be any more merging of parishes or closures of schools?
Maybe there will be in the future some mergers of schools.
In 2023, the Archdiocese warned that up to 1/3 of Catholic schools could close. A handful already have, but most remain open. The last official action came 18 months ago, in February of 2024. When Catholic school leaders were asked to submit long-term feasibility plans.
I think a lot of the parents in these schools think that the school part is kind of finished. There were closures and that everybody's safe now. But it sounds like, from what you're saying, you haven't even really begun to get to the schools. Am I characterizing that correctly?
We got the feedback from our people that let's work on the parishes first. After we settle with the parishes, then let's look at the schools. So we're in that phase of looking at the schools.
When pressed for details on a timeline or next steps, Rozanski admitted there isn't one.
It sounds like it's an organic process. There's no timeline. You'll just evaluate as you go forward.
That's correct.
So who ultimately initiates the closure of a parochial school? In a statement, the spokesperson for the Archdiocese said, the ultimate decision-making responsibility rests with the pastor. And should a parochial school be deemed no longer viable, a recommendation to close the school comes from the pastor. If the Archdiocese agrees that school is unsustainable, that's when a closure occurs. As for the parishes, the consolidations are complete. 178 parishes merged into 88 pastorates. 17 of those parishes appealed to the Vatican. 3 of those appeals were successful.
Do those reversals indicate any kind of flaw in the system or lack of consultation?
You know, I am puzzled by those overturning of my decisions because we followed the process to the letter. So I don't know what happened over in Rome that somebody rejected my decisions, but I just have to live with that.
He's also living with the reality of leading and says he wouldn't change one thing in the last 5 years.
It's going to be a difficult job. So I just expect it. You know, I expect criticism and expect that, as I say, nobody wants the job, but everybody else knows how to do it better.
While there are no active plans for school closures, if a parish priest recommends a closure, it will be considered.
I can't believe it's been 5 years already, so time has really gone by so quickly.
Much of those 5 years has been an uphill battle for Archbishop Mitchell Rozanski. He launched All Things New, the diocese's controversial restructuring plan, about a year into his new role.
When you look back at the last 5 years, if you could change one thing, would you change something and what would it be?
Looking back at the 5 years, I realized that I came in, I listened to our priests, to our religious, to our people, knew that things had to be done, things had to change. So I really wouldn't have changed anything in these past 5 years. I knew it had to be done.
As we met in the Archbishop's residence in the Central West End, we got a sense of his daily life. A 5 a.m. alarm, followed by Mass in a chapel just outside the kitchen. It's just for the Archbishop and the nuns who help him run the house.
Archbishop Mitchell Rozanski.
Great to meet you. Great to meet you.
Good to meet you.
From there, the day moves swiftly with a tightly packed schedule. And today marks his first TV interview since the new Pope was elected.
Did you have even an inkling that he may be chosen as Pope?
No. In a word, no.
Did you think you'd see an American Pope in your lifetime?
Never. I never did.
Rozanski calls it a wonderful choice. And within a few months, Pope Leo tapped Rozanski, appointing him to the Dicastery of Interfaith Dialogue. a department of the Vatican dedicated to fostering relationships with Catholics and people of other religions.
I think it's so important in our world today, especially when we're so divided.
But on one of the nation's most divisive issues, President Trump's immigration crackdown, Rozanski says he will not compromise.
It is a moral failure that we would be treating people really in such a way that they're just taken off the streets, put into incarceration.
He argues the entire immigration process is too complicated and takes too long, and he's urging Catholics to push their political leaders to build a new immigration system.
For Catholics in St. Louis who are deeply loyal to President Trump and his policies, including his immigration policy, what do you say to them when that clashes with your messaging today?
The gospel is not one of convenience. We need to take a look at the gospel, at what Jesus tells us, and bring our perspective as Catholics to our political process, and particularly in this subject of immigration.
A push for restructuring has seemed to define this man's first 5 years and will likely set the tone for the path forward.
Ann also talked at length with the Archbishop about all things new, the plan to reshape parishes, schools, and ministries. He says they are now in the phase where they are evaluating the viability of the diocese schools. We'll get into what that exactly means tomorrow night at 10. And right after this newscast, you can watch Ann's entire interview on our 5+ streaming app. Watch for free on your Roku, Apple, Fire, Samsung, or LG TV. Just search KSTK in your app store.